Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome. It's the Weekly Joe Podcast, Season 3, Episode 13. I'm your host, Paul Graham. Tonight with me, we have Meghan Dennis from near the campus, I guess, of Coastal Carolina University, where the Shots are off and running. Nice little win over the Carolina Tar Heels the other night. Moving on, likely to be a host. So whether we host or not, you're going to get a host out of the deal. So we got Roger Myers here from a extended trip to the Southern office. Nice little break in the season, no midweek game, but he is back and ready to go tomorrow night. And of course, Drew Champlin, who also was at the Southern office via a couple of other locations last week. A lot of travels for you. So glad to have your feet under your own table at home, I'm sure. So glad to have you all here tonight. We are here to talk about Alabama baseball, all things Alabama baseball. It's been a minute since Alabama baseball has even touched the field, aside from a practice with kind of a weird weekend at Tennessee. The Saturday game accelerated into a Friday doubleheader, and we were done with that series by fairly early mid-evening on Friday night, and then had the whole weekend off. No midweek game this week with finals at the university. Down to one more midweek game down on the road at Troy. Vanderbilt coming to town this weekend. We'll try to avoid cliches and say things like do or die series, because every time we do that, something else happens the next weekend that mitigates or relegates it. But you do have to feel like with these two teams coming together, both at 10 and 11 in the conference, Vanderbilt with a lot of work to be done RPI-wise to try to right their ship and get a little better position for seeding. Drew, who needs this one more coming up this weekend, Alabama or Vanderbilt?
Gosh, it really kind of depends on the goals here. I would say Alabama. I mean, Vanderbilt, if that RPI is as high, whatever it is, you just said, they really need some wins over top 10 RPI teams, which I guess we still are right now.
Right.
But if we start losing, these are going to be like quad 2 games for us, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's
so,
right. Yeah.
You can't have those. And I think Alabama is really spiraling more, it seems like, after these last 4 games we've had since we've done this podcast. So I'm always going to say Alabama because we are Tide fans. So I'll say us, even if Kendall Rogers or Mark Etheridge or Joe Healy might tell you something different.
There you go. Roger, Vanderbilt sitting 65 in the RPI, again, 10 and 11 record. A lot of tough midweek game. A lot of I won't say tough midweek games, just inexplicable midweek games that they lost early in the year. Technically, I guess this would fall in quad 3. So even worse. Your thoughts on this, Vanderbilt coming to town?
I don't know where they can jump that. I mean, with 3 series left, I don't know how they can jump 65 up too much.
Up into the 20s or 30s.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're fighting to get into the tournament, and I guess technically
they play after us, right?
Alabama's fighting to try to host. Who do they play now?
They're playing Missouri and South Carolina.
It's okay, yeah.
They're going to have 15 wins at least, I think. Even hopefully.
But
if we swept,
so this is their only hope for RPI then.
Yeah, for build-up.
Those two will not help them at all.
Not at all.
It'd be crazy if we sweep them and then they sweep the last 2 and then they're 16 and 14 and with an RPI of 65 and don't get in. But man, that's kind of where we are.
The interesting thing, and I said this in a group maybe or whatever, and Meghan, you comment on this. The good thing about Alabama right now, Alabama's still sitting 6th in the RPI, which. And everybody's like, why is that? But people don't understand RPI like we do, obviously. But we got 13 quad 1 wins, most or next most. Maybe I have to go look at the update. I mean, one of the most in the country. The good thing about RPI is and particularly in our situation, when you're playing a team in the top 10 to 15 of the RPI every week until now, RPI doesn't have voters, and you don't have to pass the eye test for the RPI voters, Megan. You can get by with the kind of weekend we have, and even with one win, only drop a 1 point in the RPI standing.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that the math works in our favor, even if maybe the record doesn't do that. And the eye test, I mean, I guess we will touch on the weekend or week,
That
I guess
was.
but like the RPI is helping us, that strength of schedule is helping us in the grand scheme of things. It's just now turns into a matter of like we gotta get the job done on the field.
Yeah. Eventually, Roger, you got to start winning some games, right? I mean, you got to
Right.
right the ship. I mean, one way or the other, you're going to go into Selection Sunday, and I mean, if you're 13 and 17, don't worry about hosting. We might still be, if we're 13 and 17, we're going to have a bunch of losses to either South Carolina or Ole Miss or this team.
Yeah.
You'll get in. You're not going to host, obviously, but eventually, if you go 4 and 5 or 3 and 6 down this stretch, even if you're a top 10 or 12 RPI, there's still a human element there that probably is not going to look on you very favorably.
Right. Yeah. They're not going to use the numbers. They're going to use the eye test, and then you have the bias of just, like probably Alabama might have had some favoritism in football over the years that, the teams that are the Alabama of baseball
Mm-hmm.
are going to get the benefit of the doubt more often.
Yeah.
Whether it be, the Arkansas and the
Floridas and
those kind of teams. I would say LSU, but they're toast, I believe.
Right.
Unless they somehow won the SEC tournament.
We'll talk a little bit more about as we get into the weekend here. What else is going on in the conference? How things are kind of building up. You're down to 9 games. I mean, I think I said this after one of these games the other night in a tweet. You kind of are what you are after 20 games in a round robin type deal in the conference. I mean, you've played 7 series in the conference, and if you're the 15th hitting team and you're the worst fielding team, you're probably lucky to be 10 and 11, Drew.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that's worked out. I think we haven't really passed the eye test, especially the last 3 weekends. But Alabama is just a team that they have to do the small things right. They have to move guys. They have to play a lot of small ball. We were doing that against Florida and Auburn. Haven't done a lot of that lately. That even if it means just bunting over a leadoff guy. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who it is. You think about the Tennessee game, the first game. Torres bunted a guy over, and then I kind of felt like our baseball gods rewarded us. Peyton Steele gets that, the 3-run double that was nearly a grand slam in that same inning, and I think that was just, I don't know. I think when we do stuff like that, we put a little more pressure, even if there's an out made. That's kind of what we have to do. So we're kind of a team that we can win. We can beat almost anybody. You look at the Texas series. I mean, could have won 2 there. Could have won 2 on a lot of these. Just we can't give. Our defense has been terrible for a lot of the year, and just can't give teams free outs and make boneheaded mental mistakes and stuff like that.
Right. It was a matter. It was really a matter of time for the defense really came to bear, and I mean, it feels like it hit the fan. Birmingham last Tuesday, and then Game 3 the other night. You've been a bad fielding team. You make mental mistakes. You make a lot of just kind of errors, and now maybe you get away with it. They don't get a run, or you're playing a North Florida or a team like that. I mean, eventually those things come home to roost, Roger. And I think it maybe last week was the week that finally.
Yeah. Wait, last Drew is alluding to, we have so little room for error.
Yeah.
Margin of error to do, and you can't, you keep giving a team 6 or 7 outs in an inning, they're going to bite you. That's how Tennessee did in that Game 3 when go in leading 3-2 because we should have had more than 3. We left guys. Like you got to build on leads when you have them and take opportunities and just not getting the 2-out hit, not getting the. How many times this year guy tries to bunt, fails, strikes out.
Mhm.
Fails twice, strikes out. The next guy, gets a single that would have scored him if he was at second, or hits a fly ball that
Right.
would have scored him if he was on third. But it just hasn't happened. So just need to do the little things that we're not doing. I mean, we have some very good base stealers. We could be moving. We have some guys that can bunt. We have some guys that have failed horribly at bunting.
Yes.
So,
Right.
like Drew mentioned, the small when we have played small ball, it seems like we've
Mhm.
had better results.
Yeah. Team hitting 239 in conference play now. I mean, a few weeks ago, we were talking 30 or more points higher than that. 270 we could have lived with, obviously. Meghan, thoughts about what's going on in the last few weeks, all the lineup changes. I mean, we've tried to mix the young guys in there, the young pups, as we call them repeatedly. We've mixed the young pups in. Hines is pretty much a fixture out there, and I mean, hit a ball as far as we've probably ever seen the other night. But it's feast or famine. Sometimes you're going to get some strikeouts. You're going to get some, you're going to get freshman type things. But thoughts on this? I mean, is part of the struggle this just that as we've gone on throughout the season, we never could settle on who your 8 everyday guys or 9 everyday guys out there.
I mean, this team is still an enigma to me. And honestly, I think that's the
Mhm.
part that kind of pisses me off about it more than anything, where it's just like, okay, the pieces, I guess to that point, the pieces have yet to fall in place.
Mhm.
And, where does that come from? I don't know. And at this point, do we keep trying to see, are they going to fall in place? Do we keep rolling it out the same thing and see maybe something will finally stick? Like, I feel like we've tried every combination of that we can. And it's, here we are after a 1-3 week that like easily should have been better. I think we've had a lot of
Yeah,
series where it's just like
absolutely.
it should have been better, and the
Mhm.
reasons that why it didn't just don't really make sense for what this team could and maybe should
Mhm.
be.
Yeah. Drew, a lot of interchangeable parts on this team, mix and matches, guys probably not playing their ideal position. We've talked about this a lot.
Mhm.
But, when you got guys hitting as many guys, including you're probably one of the better players that's ever stepped foot on your campus, is at 226 in the conference, only slugging 369. I mean, when you got 226 and below amongst so many guys, there's a little bit of a struggle, I think, for the coaching staff on trying to figure out, all right, is this guy, who's it going to be today? It's almost like it's like playing craps or doing roulette. Let me go red, let me go black. What number am I going to go? You hope you call a guy's number and he jumps in and does some good things, like Peyton Steele, for instance, over the weekend, or Luke a couple weekends ago. Guys have done that, but is part of the struggle here that all these interchangeable parts are just so inconsistent, and you're kind of getting the same thing out of whoever you put in there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with we signed a very good, or going by what Coach Vaughn said in the preseason, a very good freshman class,
Yep.
and you bring in some guys in the portal, and it feels like early on we gave those guys way too
Mm-hmm.
much, I guess, of a runway, the portal guys, and
Yes.
they've
Yeah.
had their moments. Some of them have been really good,
Mm-hmm.
uh, some of them have not been for whatever reason.
Sure.
So then you bring in
It,
freshmen who should have played a lot more in February, and now,
Uh-huh.
Hines is. I'm not sure what his number. I'm kind of scared to look at our numbers after last weekend, but Hines
Mm-hmm.
has been the best one of the bunch so far. Had the huge 3-run home
Mm-hmm.
run I think to make it 7-2 or 8-3 in that game on Thursday, and the other guys, it's kind of like they're kind of going through maybe some of the growing pains you would have liked to see them do in February and March and midweeks and non-conferences. So it's
yeah.
hard to really say who your best lineup is when no one's really just
Yeah.
stepping
Yeah.
Well,
forward.
and
So
and I've mentioned this one other time, but I mean, you got three guys that were tech tentatively listed as starters that haven't set foot on the field.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk.
Sam,
Let's talk about that because of injuries. You're talking about Sam Christensen, Coleman
Logan,
Mizell,
Coleman
uh,
Mizell, and Logan
Davenport,
Davenport. Um,
All
and
Go ahead.
in your closer
And your
3-1
closer.
hitters.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Who might be a bigger loss than it. I mean, we need the offense, of course, but that would change the whole concept of the bullpen if he was back there.
We were talking about this a little bit pregame here in the green room. What would they have brought you? What would they have brought you that, Osterhaus or Steele or when you've had Kroberger mixed in there, anybody mixed in, what would they have brought you maybe? Obviously Davenport, maybe a lot more baseball under his belt, a lot more bats and, a little better competition maybe than say.
At his previous spot, he showed power and speed and ability to play all three outfield spots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 20 bags and 19 home runs, I think, last year.
Yeah.
And played center, played right, played left. Christensen played left, right, and first base. So we've had struggles at first base at times.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been another option there. We've seen Bull.
We know Mazel.
For Mazel for a couple of years. And he showed some good power last year before he was kind of got hurt and kind of fell off. But he had the game-winning home run against Missouri. That was big when we really.
That's a big night. Yeah, needed that night.
So and he's a power bat that we really could have used, and I mean he's a lot like a lot of the guys we have. Outfield DH, corner outfielder DH, like Drew was mentioning earlier. They're, a lot of them are kind of the same guy, but we would have had a lot more opportunities. And then another one, Will Ryan, freshman.
Good freshman. Gonna be good for us.
Could have helped out in the infield. But he's trying to get over his injury. So
But so Megan, any of those guys, I mean, and again, we're hypothetical. Any of those guys going to give you better than 225, 230? We're 240, hit what I say, 240 in the conference, 239. They're going to be above that, below that. It'd be kind of the same. I
feel like it's hard to definitively say, especially other than Bull. These aren't guys that I've gotten really to see, but I do think, to the point that we have done so much, plugging in pieces and seeing you get someone to work. Well, maybe one of those would have been a piece that would have been able to be a little bit more consistent.
There would have been more. There would have been more options anyway.
More options. Yeah, absolutely. One thing you can't really, the outings from our starters this past weekend weren't top notch by their standards, I guess. FaZe in particular, felt like kept getting a lot of balls up and mind you, got the all-important pitcher win, but seemed like, gave up a lot of hard contact. Zane threw well enough to win, just got no run support and ran into a buzzsaw on the other side. Probably as good a game as we've seen anyone throw this year, aside from Tyler Fay on a Friday night against Florida and a bunch of guys at Texas a couple weekends ago in Tegan Coons. And really, Church was on track for maybe his best start. But his own fielding error, his walk in his own fielding error probably kind of started throwing error and then his own error kind of started that as in down spiral. But well enough pitching wise, you feel like you could have snatched another win out of that weekend, right, Drew?
Yeah, Faye gutted through 5 innings. I think he's gotten us 5 innings.
Yeah, pretty much every
year. Maybe I don't know about. Maybe not the Washington State one. I can't remember about that one. But he pitched. He's been so much better at home than he has been on the road. But even in his road stats, where he's been not as good, he's still getting us innings. And then I think Zane. I didn't really get a whole. I think they hit a couple of home runs off of him that were kind of like little league home runs in their park because of how short the dimensions are. But we scored we got like 2 hits in that game. So that was
got
just,
nothing.
And then, Miles, that 6th thing just fell apart. We're up 3-2. Grounded to Torres. Bad throw, but it kind of looks like it probably could have been scooped, should have been scooped. But that's tough to say because, we're not the ones out there scooping it. And then, but the bad thing about that was it went into the dugout, so he got to take second.
Right.
And then the bunt, I think the panelists have differing opinions on whether the guy would have been.
He was right in front of me. He was dead.
Really?
Was
okay.
dead, right.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think
I mean,
I think,
he would have had him by 5 feet easy.
yeah, I think the problem there though, Roger, is
Maybe Jason wasn't all the way to the bag.
well, if it's a force, it's a lot of, there's a
Well,
whole
yeah.
lot difference in making a perfect throw that can't be on this side of the body or up or down. And to me, it felt like a kind of play. If it's a force, yeah, go get him, because all you got to do is throw a fastball there. He just catches it, and he catches it wherever. He's still got to make a catch, get a tag down. He's a third baseman, so he's not really used to, he's not like a middle infielder used to catching, putting a tag down. And then Church just spiked the throw, and that kind of relegated anyway. I don't know if that was just a mistake, in my opinion, on Church's part, or if it was a call the catcher's making in front of me. I'm not sure.
I couldn't hear if Brady was yelling 3 or 1 or anything, or
Yeah,
if anybody was yelling anything to
or not,
him.
yeah, or if he just thought,
Uh,
hey, it was
I mean, he
fun
filled it, and he was looking at the bag when he
Mhm.
did. So, I mean, obviously the safe play is throw to first and get the out,
Mhm.
um, and then hopefully just limit it to the 1 run. But
Yeah,
things obviously just spiraled out of
Mhm.
hand there. But
Right,
Drew, back to what you were talking about, like if Drew Williamson had been the first baseman the last 3 years,
yeah.
we would have 25 less errors. I mean,
I don't
you
doubt
know,
that. No, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I mean, and that's not saying the other guys, are not good or anything. It's just like Drew is outstanding. I mean, he
Mhm.
does hold the school record for putouts.
That's right.
So, and
We
maybe
have
the SEC
documented that.
record. Well,
Not the SEC
it's
record.
actually true. It's actually true, Paul. I know you were joking about it a few years ago, but he really is the school leader
Uh-huh.
in putout. I mean,
I
he
think,
started for 5 years.
yeah, I think 21. Do I remember it was 2103? I was going to petition to rename the home plate club the
Yeah,
2103
that's
club.
right. That's right.
Mhm.
but uh,
But
but
I
yeah,
mean,
again,
that was
he
just
was so
he
good.
was a
Yeah.
different level. I mean,
Yes. Yeah. But again, the starting pitching, I could live with all three of those outings. I mean, like I said, it was a little bit of road fay. It wasn't home fay. Even when Rob was talking about him, staying on top of the breaker, or the cutter, it was kind of getting it up in the zone a little bit. He did enough. I feel okay about the starting pitching going into, again, you got 3 more shots with those guys each of these weekends. Bullpen wasn't still. I mean, you had to figure Ashton was going to have a kind of a bad outing after the one
yeah,
he had before, right? It's just
he's
going to
been
happen.
so good all year, and he was due for one, I suppose.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a shame.
That's just going to happen. And what we're talking about is Ashton Crowler. Ends up giving up 5 runs, 3 hits. He was part of that 6th inning coming in behind Upchurch, and couldn't get us all the way out of that inning. I think Heiberger had to come in and try to mop it up. But I mean, the floodgates had been opened by that time, and our course had really been set early in that game. I felt by just you're not you had a lead, but you could have had a bigger lead. And that story of the weekend, I felt even Thursday night. I mean, I never felt real good about that game Thursday
It's
night
a story the
because
last 3 weeks, but
yeah.
carry
I
on.
mean, we get one. You get one, you leave the bases loaded. You get one, you leave 2 on. I mean, it was just. And then we hit.
Even in the 7th, we got 3, but we had the bases loaded with no outs,
Yes.
and none of those guys scored.
Yeah, we kept hitting balls off the top of the wall and not getting them out of the park, and things like that. So I mean, again, it's you're a little bit snake bit offensively. You got to scrape and claw for everything you can get. There's so little margin for errors for your pitching. But I will say this, and again, we sound like we're talking about LSU right now. How would you like to be them? I mean, how would you like to be?
Yeah.
I mean, their coach is throwing their ass under the bus. He's done with that group. I mean, they've packed it in.
They 6
9
and
in a row.
14, 6
Yeah,
and 14, 6 and
yeah.
15.
6 and 15. I think they've lost 9 in a row in the conference. I mean, Missouri, historically not a great team. They're 4 and 17. South Carolina 7 and 14, but seemingly got some sign of life. We're not talking about teams like that. We're sitting at 10th in the conference at 10 and 11 in a tie with 2 other teams. The team we're playing this weekend, the team we just lost 2 out of 3 of last weekend. And I mean, one more win, you would be in the a tie for 6th. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the margin for error is just so minimal. and especially with a team like this. I do think, however, the conference is kind of the die has been cast in this conference. Georgia, A&M, Texas, to me, feel like the more elite teams. State is pretty resurgent. I mean, I think I like what State's done the last couple of weekends. I mean, look at Auburn since our weekend. They've gone 4 weekends in a row, winning 2 out of 3 each weekend. They're 8-4 since our weekend. And I mean, they could have very easily gotten out of that weekend winning 2 out of 3 against us. I mean, they've been that close. It's just because they pitch so well. They pitch so well and they're solid defensively. And then you look at Florida. You know, that next pack, it's Florida, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Oklahoma, all 11-10, and it's just because they go win 2 out of 3 one weekend, they lose 2 out of 3 the next, and it's just against the teams in that bunch. So it's it kind of feels like we're not in that bottom pack, but we're in that middle pack. But the middle pack is so big this year, and there's so little margin for error. And so I'd go to this. I mean, I know we don't have it all in front of you, and you know who they play and whatnot to wrap up the year, but Georgia at 15-6, A&M at 14-6, but didn't get that last game with Texas, got rained out. Texas at 13-7, so essentially 2 behind. I'll call them 2 behind Georgia. I'll call A&M a game behind Georgia. If at this point, if I called the SEC race and I said I'm going to give you Georgia or the field, Drew, who you go?
Oh boy, I haven't seen the schedule. Probably need to see the schedule.
Georgia has Auburn, South Carolina, and Missouri.
Okay,
right. Georgia plays Missouri this weekend. LSU.
I knew it was one of the bad.
And then
that's making this easy.
All right,
and then at Auburn.
I don't even, and I think A&M plays Auburn this weekend.
A&M plays Auburn this
at
weekend.
Home and
plays Ole Miss next weekend, and then they finish with somebody.
Yep.
They may not be on my list right now.
I say it's Georgia's to lose.
You think it's Georgia's going to win? I think that probably the way the schedule lays out, probably.
I think they go 8-1. 7-2 at worst. The rest of the
way. So 22, 23 wins. Yeah, I mean that kind of gives you. So it feels like, I mean, based on that, it feels like the conference season's pretty well locked. But if you look at that top pack, the A&Ms, the Texases, we'll call Mississippi State in there, and we'll call Auburn in there. I'll call them that next tier. You think Auburn continues this? I mean, 2 out of 3. I mean, 2 out of 3 every weekend down the stretch.
I sure pick against it. I pick against them every week, so that's probably will.
I mean, they have A&M, State, and they finish with
Georgia.
So that's going to be hard for them to do that.
I mean, I'd love for them to go 2-7 down the stretch.
2-7, they get still at 14 wins. I mean, hell, they're still top strength of schedule 1 or 2. I think we're 1 or 2. So I mean, again, I kind of go back to the whole conference has got flaws. Ours seem a lot more glaring than some of these others. A few weeks ago we were talking about if Auburn would just get any kind of hitting, just even a pulse of hitting, they'd be dangerous because the pitching's so good. Well, then you look at this past weekend, all of a sudden they're busting out, and they
third baseman and Bubs and the third baseman and Fralick and
3 home runs from your first baseman. I mean, you're starting to see that. I mean, when you look at the teams though in that pack, and let's throw Kentucky down in the bottom. It feels like Kentucky's fading. Those teams with 10 wins or above, and even after watching Tennessee this weekend up close, have you seen another team that feels like they've just got as many glaring weaknesses as we do?
No, but we see ours a lot more.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
Right. I mean, because sometimes I think, like, just the thought of, just use a football analogy. It's the thought of playing Alabama football during the Coach Saban days. Mm-hmm. It's like you were beat before you got on the field because, I mean, the way you thought of Tennessee under Tony V's best teams, it's like, damn, we're not gonna have a chance,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really feel like that with a lot of these teams, unless it's like
Mhm.
Volantis pitching for Texas. Well,
Yes.
not many people have a chance then, but
Uh,
maybe not as many glaring weaknesses, but we do. They're under the microscope for us because we see it all the
we
time.
see it all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew,
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you look at the schedule we have left with
Uh,
Vanderbilt at South Carolina and Ole Miss, and really Ole Miss has probably got the best of that group by far with the best arms,
yeah.
weekend arms, but we get them at home. So I think we'll have a good plan for that. But yeah, I think, we haven't even talked about how awful the UAB game was or excuse me, the
Yeah.
Birmingham U game.
Birmingham game.
Down 7-0 before Paul even gets to his seat. And it was basically it's a bunt pop out, and
Bloodbath.
Spires didn't have it. The
No.
kid just didn't have it. But it's the first error was a bad pickoff.
Uh,
And then later I think we screwed a couple things in the outfield. And so and then Torres airmailed a ball that,
mhm.
we should have never gotten to that point in the inning because we should have made the plays and not walked and hit
Yes.
guys.
Yes.
The most frustrating thing to me is obviously all the errors. How many of these errors have been pitcher pickoff throws?
Yeah.
Or just pitcher catcher?
That's every year too, though.
It is
But it
always.
seems like this one's been magnified. This year's been magnified.
I,
And so we have to go just check pitcher error. Not every pitcher error is a missed pickoff, but
Yeah, most of them.
just too many.
most
Like
of them are. Yeah.
you just can't have 4 errors in a game. You just can't have 6 errors in a game, no matter what. I mean, plays have got to be made, and I think that we got to save errors from being made. Like Roger said earlier,
Yes.
we don't have a Drew Williamson at first. I would love to see Jason Torres play first in it. I've seen him play first in a fall game against Clemson. Thought he was pretty good. Why not put Torres at first? Put Brady Neal or Caleb Barnett at third, and then just figure out the rest of the lineup. That's just kind of what I'm pontificating. Because, I will say, we talked about injuries. I really want to give our team and staff credit for that Thursday win against Tennessee. We lose 2 guys like, Justin Osterhaus
in weird ways.
gets hurt in the on-deck circle. Hopefully he's okay. And then Luke Vaughn takes a 95-mile-an-hour fastball to the head and has to come out. So we lost 2 starters in the same game early on due to injury. So, and that's kind of what we had to deal with for the weekend. I kind of wonder if we should have gotten Barnett a shot at first in game 3 against a lefty. But we didn't. So
right. And to get back on your point there, the injury situation. Hold on a second. I think I saw the recap. I think we're listing both those guys up. Osterhaus is questionable going in the weekend. Luke is probable, so that's good. And they've got 4 guys listed out, but I have no idea if those are just guys that have been out all year or whatnot to really tell you. So hopefully they're back, but if Osterhaus is not, it kind of feels like you've got, we kind of go back to the interchangeable parts. You've got guys that could do what he does, and you could perhaps just march on from there. Vandy last year, Meghan, we remember that well. Obviously, we were just a minute or 2 away from icing that series, and next thing you know, we're on the bottom end of a walk off, and that probably cost us a regional host spot. Honestly, when it comes right down to it. We're going to see Connor Fennell again, who had just shoved against us in the opener that weekend. Thoughts on Vandy, because we've played them pretty well in recent years, I feel like.
I feel like Vandy's always been like there's been some big turning point one way or the other in the season every time we played Vandy recently. But
yeah.
I watched an okay amount of Vandy this year that like it's not gonna be an easy series by any means, but like they're very beatable. It really I think is gonna come a lot more to like are we not going to beat ourselves? I think more than anything, we're, I think, very evenly matched down, up and down. I can't tell you any of the guys are going to roll. I can't tell you anything out other than like seeing them play. I watched that Texas series and they looked competitive against Texas, same way we did, easily small things happen. They're different scores. So
they have a ton of power.
A lot of power. Yeah. Good hitting team. They were not a good hitting team last year. In fact, they were probably having podcasts talking about their hitting like we're doing on ours this year. But if all of a sudden had a resurgence at the point. Tyler Wilcox at Johnny MySpace had tweeted to me in the viewer question, Vandy at home in a pivotal series. Road trip you have to win. Final series at home versus Ole Miss. So 1, 2, 3. That's our upcoming. Do we harness the 2023 similarities into that same magic and play postseason ball at home? It's lining up just like 2023, right?
Yeah.
You got Vandy home. You go. Actually, we go to South Carolina, which is probably a little more not as difficult as going to A&M like we went the year before that. And then it'd be nice if Ole Miss was going to be 6-24 in the conference again. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be a little tougher. What do you think? Can you harness that into a 6-3 finish, or God forbid 7-2? I mean, can you?
If we do the things we're supposed to do, yes. I mean, we've seen it.
Yep.
Then we've seen the other side. So
Right.
it's just has to be one of the own weeks. The own three for 3 weeks.
Drew, it's not like football and basketball. I mean, you would say, is there a leadership problem on this team? I mean, what does this have to be a player initiated, or kind of have the players got to find it, or can the coaches get it out of them when you're down the stretch like this? And I mean, you're playing 500 ball in the conference. You're kind of also ran at this point. If you want to excel and make this season finish and be something pretty special, has that got to kind of come with the end, or is there something? Do you feel like there's anything the coaches can do to trigger it?
Put together a good offensive game plan and approach. It is kind of disappointing. LeBron, he's gotten worse each of his 3 years. He's still going to be a high draft pick, but this is a guy who got 350 as a freshman. So if you have 3 years like that, you're going 1 overall, no questions asked. So, and then, Torres hasn't gotten any better. I can't exactly remember how he was at Miami, but boy, it's been kind of a struggle with him. He did have the big home run. He's got it in him, I think, but we just got to have guys who don't look lost to the plate. And then as far as the lineup, I mean, I know it's been kind of a little hamstrung by, I mean, I guess we could just roll out the same lineup we had against in our 6-game SEC winning streak. Doesn't have Eric Hines in it, but he was in it for one of those games against Oklahoma. And he's a guy that people are intentionally walking him. They're not intentionally walking many other guys on our team. So, but you also need guys to step up. John Lim's got to find it again. He was really good earlier in the year. Want to see that happen. I kind of feel like maybe Luke Vaughn will have him a moment or two this weekend. If he's probable, then that means we're probably going to see him. I imagine it's a concussion. So, just kind of, I think it's really just about, but for the players, they got to buy into the roles of small ball and get down the bunts. I think it's like whoever, no matter who you are in the line, you got to get a bunt down when you're asked to do so.
So you said something, Roger. Drew said something. I want to talked about a couple of guys who've regressed. At the plate. I mean, there's no doubt LeBron is having a worse year this year than he did the year before, and what he did as a freshman. Now, nobody expected him. He probably saw different pitches as a freshman in that spot than he's sitting in the 2 spot. Analytically, you would probably have, I don't know why we keep him in the 2, and you probably ought to have Neal at the 2. But why does a guy like Brady Neal make the leap he makes, but Jason Torres doesn't, or LeBron doesn't? Yeah. I mean, why does that happen on the same team?
I don't know. I know Brady just looks like he's free and easy and having fun, and especially compared to last year. I mean, he came in and hit 211, and with 3 home runs, and now he's like all SEC, fringe All-American right now. I mean, 360, probably needs more home runs for some of those honors, but 7 home runs and, driving in runs and robbing home runs and throwing guys out from the right field, throwing guys out while catching. I mean, it's just, it's just, he's not playing. He's just loose. Yeah. And Drew, you said Torres hit like 340 at Miami with like 8 home runs in half a season and got hurt in his sophomore year. He missed the last half of the season. He got here last year. He missed the fall, basically missed the fall when he first got here.
Maybe that has to do something with it.
Well, last year, this year he was here for the fall, so I don't know. But we mentioned that from the start though, like he's down probably 25, 30 pounds. Looks like. I don't know if that hurt his power, but I think it's helped his defense at third. He's been really good,
he did. Yeah,
despite a couple of bad throws.
Yeah, he's been good.
recently. He's made some really nice plays over there at third.
Mhm.
But like Drew, I've seen enough of him at first base to know how good he is there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it would have been nice if things had worked out where the plan was with a different third baseman and him at
Mhm.
first. But those plans went awry. So, making the best of it. But
Yeah, I bet Brady could do it. I bet if you put Brady at third base, he could do
yeah,
it.
I mean,
And I'd love to see it.
Brett Booth played some third base, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a similar situation to me.
Yeah.
But
Megan, one of our viewer or listener questions was about the stats not lying. The team is really built for small ball. We talked earlier about 15th in the SEC in slugging, 11th in on base percentage. We strike out 12th most in the SEC, or the 12th highest number. So, and if you do all those, if you do that much striking out, you got to hit for power. But this argument being made is that we keep marching out a small lineup. He's saying, we're marching out guys and we got to get 5 singles in a row to generate a big inning. I just don't know. I mean, how do you put out a lineup like that goes power? I don't think you've got the personnel for it.
no, you
No,
don't.
no. Like I would be curious I would question what this person's seeing that I
Mm,
definitely haven't of like teams past, yeah, 100%. Like we
yeah,
live and die by the long ball, get them on, get that hit, make it happen. But like this year, we're not built for that, and none of the puzzle pieces we have are gonna get us to that. So
no,
then the only
no.
option becomes we got to play small ball. We got to
Mm,
get those singles to move them around, or nothing's gonna happen.
mhm, yeah. Um, touch a little again. Touch a little again on the weekend ahead. Um, Fennel, I'd had to bring up the bots last year, but felt like he struck out 12, 13 of his, whatever it was. I mean, we didn't hardly stand a chance against him last year. Feels like that's the most important game of the weekend because you got to get off on the right foot. They're throwing a TBA in the middle game. Then Wyatt Nadeau, who I think threw a pretty good game the other weekend for them. But do you feel like you if you want to win 2 out of 3 this weekend,
You
you
gotta
need
get
to
your
find
first.
you get that first one like we did this past weekend.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up the box too. Fennel is
Yeah.
a guy
Oh, that's
who
came over
is
from Dayton. Yeah,
okay, but he's like a kind of a sidearm 3/4
yeah,
guy. He
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
throw it
Skinny.
that hard, but he's effective. I
Yes.
remember last year, uh, I know Garrett Staten took him for a 3-yard 3-run homer earlier in the game off the over the monster, and then that was the game we were up 7-2 and we blew it.
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't know how many he. I think he's a tough guy to hit just because of the awkward motion. I'm trying to.
yeah. Got a
Uh,
weird arm slot, but I mean he had us handcuffed pretty much most of the night last year, and then we had to kind of figure a way back to get back in the series. JD Thompson, I guess
no,
through
Fennel pitched on Sunday. He was
he
game
pitched Sunday.
three.
It was Sunday. Yeah,
Yeah, the JD Thompson, I think, was the
Thompson's the one that got him,
Thompson's the
I
one.
think.
Okay, am I confusing the
yeah
two?
Fennel. He struck out 9 of us in 5 in the
That's
third
what's
innings. 4 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 3
yeah.
walks,
All
83
right.
pitches,
It felt like
86
he
pitches.
had chewed us up early in the game, and then
Possible.
that's real good on the Friday night.
Yeah.
That was the game we ended up blowing late. But I mean, it's a guy we've seen, a guy that struck out a lot, struck out a lot of our guys, but obviously flipped from their Sunday guy to their ace this year. But it just feels like you got to get off on a good foot. You
Mhm.
got to have home fay, and
Yes.
not the which we've had. I mean, he's been a really different pitcher at home, and I get that. I mean, you're on a real mound, which half these places we're going these
Yeah.
days don't have a real damn mound. Um,
Tyler told me that mound at Tennessee was terrible.
uh,
It was like tiered, like you had to try to figure out how to step up on,
or yeah,
where to put your feet because, and there
mhm.
was no dirt to move around or anything. I mean,
No,
it was just
no.
awful.
Right. So it feels to me like that's the biggest. Um, you know, it, Interestingly, I mean, when you look at the weather for this weekend, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, Friday, Friday looks like a bad weather from about late afternoon on into the morning on Saturday. Um, I'm not predicting anything, but I mean, if you got in a position, you ended up with a double header maybe Saturday because you couldn't get that game in on Friday. Do you hate that? Does the team need a break? Maybe gets just so you're just Saturday might be your last stand, right? I mean, you might be like Tennessee was on Friday.
Right.
Really needing
Yeah.
that. I mean, Tennessee did not want to end up dropping 2 out of 3 last weekend. You might need that. Is that a good thing for us if that shapes up that way?
It might depend on what happens on Thursday. I mean,
Yeah.
win Thursday, do you want to you want to get back right back out there and
Hmm.
go?
Hmm.
You lose, do you want to regroup and think about it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Could
I
they
don't know.
move Friday up to 1 in the afternoon or something like that? Is
They
You never
would.
know.
I mean, I'm
They
assuming they
probably would.
would if that's what we did. That's what happened at Tennessee. It was so weird. Like
It's weird that, yeah.
it already feels strange when it's Thursday because
Uh-huh.
you're thinking it's Friday, and then like you get up the next day and it's Friday, and then all of a sudden
mm,
you're playing
And then it's
two,
over.
and then you're
Yeah.
done, and it's like,
Mhm.
and the team stayed up there Friday after that loss. I mean, they
oh
didn't.
no.
Did they
They
stay up? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they so had the hotel already,
Uh-huh.
and all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, 5 hour bus ride or 4.5, whatever. So
Mhm.
they would have been fine coming back, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that was punishment or it was predetermined or what. It's
Yeah.
like we're
Well,
you're gonna
no
we're gonna
midweek
know
game.
we're gonna know where you're gonna be tonight.
Yeah, no midweek game. I guess probably the idea too. I mean, if they've got finals this week, you don't want them. Maybe you don't want
Right.
them traveling all through the night, get a night's sleep. Anyhow, it should. Didn't bring it up, and we usually do this with you when you go to these places. Tennessee with a nice redo of what was by and
Terrible.
large one of the bottom five or
It,
so stadiums in the conference. Really looks like a nice part.
it's
Mind you,
coming
still a
along.
band like all turf, and I hate that shit. But it's like,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
really looks like they've updone that place very
They
nicely.
have, they have. There's still all the roads around the stadium, and there's still scaffolding and everything outside the stadium. It's really hard to get to.
Uh-huh.
You got to go through some construction sites and down
Uh-huh.
some homemade board sidewalks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really it's like like it's not huge inside, but the amount of space it takes up outside is just
Outside. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much more than the Joe's just so easy to get around. I
It's
mean,
yeah.
I know
Yeah.
we're used to it,
Wide
um,
concourses. Well, different
but
than like Georgia, where everything's just so tight.
right,
And
right,
Auburn used to be like that. And now they've kind of gone vertical
yeah,
and just
but yeah,
taken up every.
Tennessee has the wide concourses with a lot of good concession, and then they have the food trucks like South Carolina and Texas and a lot of the other ones
Yeah.
have food trucks inside the stadium. Um, And I hate to say anything good about them, but I think I
Mhm.
told you guys anything from the ticket takers to the ushers to the concession
Uh-huh.
people, they couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
They were
That's good.
just so welcoming and helpful, and just like good natured the whole time. No,
Right.
nothing like you would expect, and nothing like it was last time it was in Tennessee when
Yeah.
Tony was
When
still
Tony was
there.
there.
Tony
Uh-huh.
went and chest bumped the umpire, and the place was going nuts.
Yeah.
Now, and even the fans were were
They've
good.
lost, they lost a little bit of that edge. Tony
Yes,
gave.
yes. And then after beating them like we did on Thursday night, like it was so weird. I mean, it's 12-8 going into the night. Place was emptying out,
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
thought, you haven't seen what can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that. See
uh,
one of our. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Megan.
I was like, I mean, it was almost completely empty by the time the game
Uh,
was over.
yeah. Megan, their first year with Josh Elander, who obviously has been on staff for quite a long time. You saw a similar situation, maybe with A&M last year. I mean, they kind of struggled and then um, turned it. I mean, really struggled out of the gate, turned it on a little bit at the end, but it wasn't enough. And now this year vaulted a second year up, second year under the new coach. I mean, do you feel like Tennessee's going to be due for that kind of a bump with Elander? Or I mean, obviously, you're not necessarily this year. Not it's a transition year to some extent. Do you think he's the answer there?
I mean, I sure hope not. I don't want good things for Tennessee. You know, I don't know. It definitely like it's very different than anything Tony seems to be doing, even though it was a guy who was working right under him. Of it's just that almost kind of bad boys of baseball feel that they've had for the last few years doesn't seem like it's there anymore.
Right.
And I don't know if he's the guy to have that there. Like I don't know
Right.
enough, and I don't know if I care enough about Tennessee to know enough about
Right.
that one.
Right. Drew, I mean, it's a little bit like, DeBoer taking over for Saban. Nobody's going to do it exactly like Coach Saban did it. Nobody's going to have that kind of success. And the game, in the 2 or 3 years since Saban has been there, has changed so significantly in the way that, roster construction works. Um, do you watched it too, Earl? I mean, do you feel like they're as, they've just lost some edge that maybe they had under Tony?
Um, I really didn't have a chance to actually watch most of this. I watched the because of travel and all that. I
Yeah.
watched a lot of this game, a lot of the game three. They're different. They don't have. I mean, they have good hitters, but their offensive numbers have gone down. It's kind of like we complain
Yeah.
about our hitters not being developed. Levi Clark's hitting under 200, and that's a guy who
Yeah.
was pretty good for him last year, if I
Forget
remember
us.
right.
Yeah. Right.
So they do have more. They do still have guys who are threats to hit it over the fence. So that was kind of the challenge with them. They just don't have the Christian Moores, the Blake Burke, just the guys they had. And I think Elander probably recruited a lot of those guys,
He
but
probably did. Yeah. I think so.
it's just different. I think it's going to kind of
Transition.
level out. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be. They're always going to be good. They're going to be competitive. They're going to have a chance to make Omaha, but we probably won't see teams like they had over the last couple of years for quite a while.
All right. Yeah. Hey, around the conference this weekend. Then we're gonna get back to us real quick. Missouri goes to Georgia. You know that you probably know what'll happen there. Tennessee goes to Kentucky again. Kind of Kentucky's last stand. I mentioned. I think they're 9-12 in the conference. They've got to if they're going to get anywhere. They're going to have to start piecing some wins together. Ole Miss at Arkansas is a pretty intriguing series. I think. I mean, two very evenly matched teams. Vandy at Alabama, obviously, same. South Carolina at LSU. How bad can it get for either of those teams? One's got 6, one's got 7 wins. State at Texas may be the marquee matchup. I mean, of those are Florida at Oklahoma, Barn at the Aggies. That may be it too. Before we talk a little bit about those and which one's the most intriguing, LSU, another team in flux here. I mean, you always expect a team that wins the national championship to take a little dip. I mean, you don't get and maybe this is kind of the LSU pattern, but do we think it would be this bad, Roger?
No,
This year?
no. I mean, weren't they preseason number one? I mean,
Yeah.
probably in most polls, and and the way they spend and the way they recruit and the frenzy they have about baseball down there, they should never really be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jay, Coach Johnson went out and said, like, I just picked the wrong guys out of the portal.
Yeah, that's what's interesting.
I mean,
That's the portal era, though. It's like, yeah, these guys I probably met one weekend. I saw video tape of them, and they came down for a weekend for a visit, and I screwed up. It's not like guys you cultivated relationships with since they were in the 8th or 9th grade playing it,
right.
outside of Atlanta.
Well, and it wasn't getting Tommy Tanks and Paul Skeens either.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Meghan, did you expect you would see a coach at a program like LSU making comments like that about his team with 12 games left in his conference schedule?
I think it's a real bold statement to make, and it's like, yeah, you're at LSU, which is one of the premier programs in the country, and for you to be the head man, 12 games left to basically be saying, yeah, these guys aren't worth anything.
Finished.
Like, okay, you're asking from it to go from bad to worse.
Really bad. Yes.
Like, if I'm a player hearing that, then it's like, who cares at that point? Like, why am I going to show up for this guy that yes, it's a testament to like the transfer portal and the era that we are in with baseball, but it's still like you gotta win games. And with 12 games left, well, there's still winnable games out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I mean, you can sweep South Carolina at home, and you're only getting 9 wins. You're still not probably getting into a regional because you got and frankly, it doesn't feel like that team could piece together 3 wins against anybody right now. Yeah, the barn at the Aggies really intrigues me. I think the pitching match up there, the hitting of the Aggies, the way the A&M crowd impacted that Texas series. I kind of feel like that might show up there again. I mean, and the way Auburn pitches, I mean, pitching usually travels pretty well. Good pitching, and State at Texas, boy, State's really had a resurgence, and when they were kind of left for dead after getting swept a couple weekends in a row, and now they got to go to Texas. So if State's going to make a vault into that upper tier, that top 3 or 4. This is their big opportunity to do it. So, all right. With that said, around the conference, let's talk about Alabama. 3 left here. Look ahead. 3 at South Carolina, which feels very pivotal to me, and we'll talk about why. And then 3 with Ole Miss at the end of the year. Do we, like Tyler asked, is it in this team to have a resurgence and pull a 7-2 like the 2023 team did, or a 6-3 get you to 16 wins? Roger, is it in them?
It was in them for Florida, Auburn, and Oklahoma. I mean,
yeah. Two of the 3 series at home, so that's
right. And it's kind of the same thing. And if you could do, obviously, if you could do the same thing, that would, that was what 8-1 in that stretch. That would put you in a excellent situation. It's just, can we mentally do it offensively and defensively? We feel like the starting pitching is going to do their job. Just go deep as possible.
Yes.
Go 6 or 7 preferably, and then piece it together at the back end with the hot, whoever the hot arm is at the time. And we mentioned Ashton earlier. He was due, he's been too good.
Oh, he's due. Yeah, absolutely.
He was due for a bad.
Guy. You can get it.
And he got hit pretty hard real quick, and they went ahead and got him out. Didn't let. And I think he faced 5 batters, and maybe 4 of them got on base. So, home run and a double and a couple of singles. So, he was not fooling anybody on Friday. Could do it. I mean, Brady stays hot. Bryce stays hot. Justin does what he's capable of doing.
Yes.
And Eric, runs into a couple, and then all of a sudden, you got something going. If we can, the game we won at Tennessee, we walked 10 times and got hit 6 times.
Hit 6, yeah. 16 free passes.
In the other 2 games, we walked 3 times. So we had 10 hits, 9 hits, 9 hits, I think. So, I mean, we got on base 25, 26 times. And then the next game, we got on base 4 times.
Yeah.
3 singles and 1 walk. I mean,
this team needs the opponent to help it out a little bit.
Right. If they're not throwing strikes, we have a lot better chance.
Yeah.
Which
Meghan,
I guess,
9 to go in the conference with that lineup again. Shades of 2023. Where do you think this? Where's your upper? I give you 5.5. What's your over under on wins?
I think over.
Okay, I'll give you 6.5. What's your over under? I
still say over.
So you're picking maybe a 7-2 type finish, just like 2023. You feel that way?
The potential is definitely there. Like, we've seen that it's there, and so it's just a matter, I think, of like, if they want it, it's going to happen.
Yeah, which means you got to sweep somebody, and I mean, the Carolina would be but I mean, a road sweep is, I don't know.
I'll be there that weekend. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that's true. It'll feel like home for them. Yeah, Drew.
They played better. Since Maneri's been gone.
Yeah, that's a good move in that early in the year. Drew,
I'm going to go a floor of 4, ceiling of 6.
6. That's about
if I really had to pick it, I'd probably go 5 and 4 and fall just short of a regional host and have everybody pissed off or whatever. That's kind of it's like of course we can. I mean, Vanderbilt is they're not what they used to be. South Carolina, they're not very good. I mean, they're competitive, but they're not very good. So they very well could go 5-1 these next weeks, and then you get Ole Miss at home, and you're at home. If you can't win one of those at home, then well, I mean, I guess we got swept a couple weeks ago, but yeah,
Right.
it's going to be. I'd have kind of a if you look at these next 2 weekends, and if you don't have 4 wins in these next 2 weekends, kind of have a sour approach to the team. I mean,
Yes.
anything can happen. So that's kind of like we did beat Auburn in Florida. That seems so long ago.
Hmm.
Can they get that magic back? I guess, but Faye at home,
Home fade's been
at
really good. Yeah.
he's pitched all right. 9 + 5 is 14, and then I think he's pitched 20 SEC innings at home and given up 1 run.
Hmm.
So yeah, I do think we have the matchup. I think we have the advantage tomorrow, and I think we have it Saturday and Sunday as well. So there's really no reason we shouldn't win at least 2.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of going along with your thought there. I think the ceiling's probably 6. I mean, you'd like to think you go into South Carolina and sweep them. It's still a pretty proud program that, with a team. I could see a Texas going in there and sweeping them, although they didn't. They picked up a win against them and played them pretty tough. I think they're still going to play tough, even that the next to last weekend of the season. It would maybe be nice if if who'd we say they had this weekend? I can't. Let's see. It was
LSU, they're at LSU.
LSU. Yeah, if LSU could kind of mop the floor with them and kind of break their spirit a little bit, but
That'd be
be nice.
fantastic.
But yeah, I think you could get 6 because I feel like you can win. You could win 2 out of 3 there. Maybe you can win 2 out of 3 in all of these. But I feel like that's the ceiling. I don't see us getting 7. I think at 16, you're probably a regional host because if you win 16 at this point, that's a couple more wins maybe over an Ole Miss that is top 10 or so RPI team. Let's see where they are actually they're 15 top 15 RPI. So you're going to take an RPI hit if you lose a game to Vandy. You're going to take an RPI hit if you lose a game to South Carolina. But if you kind of hold your own and you win 6 games, if you're sitting top 10 RPI and you got 16 SEC wins,
Be hard not to.
be hard to
Yeah.
exclude you. Yeah, but again, we're talking about this as though everything turns on a dime, and what we saw last week doesn't show
I
up.
want to say we could sweep these next 2 weekends. It's certainly possible. But based on what we've seen the last 3 weeks, you almost feel like you're going to see 3-3 as opposed to 6-0.
Well,
Right.
I tell you, the Thursday night in Knoxville, that group that was there, we felt like we were about to sweep them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, after that, it was like because they looked defeated. Like I was telling you earlier, the stands were emptying out. Before the
Bullpen was
ninth
spent.
inning,
I mean, they were already
they were done. They were done, and then we let them back in, just like Arkansas was done. I think if we could have won that series, and then but it was just such a different feeling from Thursday to Friday.
The Friday, yeah.
After game one Friday, it was just like, and we mentioned earlier, like if you're only going to win one game in a series, the last game is the best one to win because you leave there feeling good.
Yeah.
Texas, you felt pretty damn good leaving there.
Right.
Although you had to go on the road again last weekend. And I mean, and that's tough. I mean, as bad as it's been, you just did 2 consecutive weekends on the road at pretty tough places to play.
Yeah.
2 and 4. I mean, you didn't get swept at either of them. Now that midweek egg we laid in between the 2, didn't help the mood any better. But it doesn't. I mean, in the grand scheme, it doesn't hurt you except for the fact you showed up, you put 5 errors on the board, and it's like, well, that's.
I mean, but look at who's lost way worse midweek games.
Yeah.
Georgia, Florida, LSU, even they're hard. I mean,
Vandy's lost.
Vandy.
Auburn lost a couple pretty. I mean, they got smoked by Georgia Tech. I mean, but that's a good team. Yeah, but Cincinnati beat them. And
so I mean, that's just that falls under shit happens. I mean,
Yeah. Right. Here's a good question, John. I have no idea to say his name. SMIRH Smur. His name is Smur John. Bunch of numbers on his handle. And it's a good question. I mean, and it's about the coaching staff. thoughts on the job Coach Rob Vaughn has done this year, and we'll talk about the whole staff. On one hand, probably ought to be SEC Coach of the Year for taking this bunch, and I think he's just referencing the fact all these guys are in, hitting 200 SEC play and the way we play defense. But we've taken this bunch to a 500 record and 13 quad one wins. On the other hand, he and this group put this team together out of the portal, and we'll talk about what's involved in that. And so, is it in a matter of hey, good job getting the most out of this team, given maybe the ceiling some of these guys have, or have you been undone by this? You expected more out of LeBron offensively. You expected Torres to maybe make a leap, and even if he had made half the leap Brady Neal did, has that undone him? I mean, thoughts in general. I mean, Meghan.
And then you expected the four guys that haven't played at all to help.
Yeah, right. You started, Roger. So I mean, again, we know, Rob, we like the staff. I mean, we like the the general. I think we like the general direction the program's going. It's on solid ground. I don't always like the hitting approach. The defense, I don't even want to talk about. I don't like how we didn't really develop the young guys early in the year, knowing that some of these guys coming in, we're probably going to give you what they're giving you now. But I mean, graded. I mean, even if you had to do it, or just thoughts on the job that the staff's done.
I mean, it's hard to like. We would have started off like B or C, and then we get to the 7-1 stretch, and then that's an A plus, and then you go 2 and
but
2
you
and
were
8.
doing, you were doing a little that 7-1. I'm sorry to interrupt. That 7-1 felt like we were doing a little bit with smoke and mirrors. We were winning one-run games, and we weren't doing a hell of a lot offensively. We were playing a little bit better defensively, right. And so we made
doing whatever it took, whatever it takes to win, which is important. So, I mean, it's hard to give a grade with given who was lost. Like, and we haven't talked enough about Caden Humphrey not being able to be at the back end. So things changed then, but he's not a hitter, and we would still be hitting. We're still hitting 240, but would we be hitting 240 if if Davenport and Sam could play? We don't know that. So it's kind of more of an incomplete, I think. Hard to grade. I mean, basically, I guess if you're 10 and 11, you're basically 500. So that's like a C. That's like about a C, I guess, in school. I don't know. Megan's the teacher, so is that somewhere in the C area?
Probably a hard grader too, I bet.
Yeah.
Meghan, if the several points he made here, I mean, good points and very fair. I mean, again, we're 500 in the SEC, we're 6 in RPI, we had 13 quad one wins, but putting this, as he said, putting this bunch together, or that we really whiffed on this transfer group. I mean, easier said than done, maybe. I mean, given the resources you're throwing at players to right. I mean, it's not. You want to beat Georgia and throw, go get 30 guys every year, or do you want to, or whatever the number is? I'll set off the Georgia fans. But I mean, do that every year.
I prefer developing.
Yes, right. Or hey, you've got Eric Hines and you're getting him meaningful at bats here in the SEC play. You got Caleb Barnett, you got Purdy, you got guys like this, and then it's a matter of trying to develop and keep them. I mean, yeah, maybe you quote whiffed on some of these guys, or some of the guys you brought in hadn't developed, or they weren't. You projected what they were going to look like in SEC play, but it didn't pan out. I mean, it's easier said than done, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a C, to Roger's point, is exactly kind of where I would put the coaching staff at. And I think to that point, it's we don't have the money as other programs do. We know that, and so then we have. Even in the transfer portal, then it's a matter of take this freshman class, which just had this amazing freshman class. Well, it took a very long time for us to see any of them, and we've seen a lot of glimpses of what can be the future, but what could have happened if we'd gotten them those at-bats in the pre-conference sort of thing, where it had been that much farther along. I think to some of the points you made, our defense frustrates the hell out of me. Our hitting approach, it kind of seems, quite honestly, like, and I'm not a hitting expert by any means, but in the 3 years that Rob and really the staff under him, because I don't think he's the one directly really handling the hitting, like we've taken a slide backwards. And at some point then
Yeah, it's fair.
it needs to be a question that's being asked of like, well, what's happening there if we seem to consistently keep getting worse at our at bats?
Yeah, yeah. Drew, your thoughts on it? I mean, just on any of those
Yeah.
points.
I think Megan said it really well. I don't know
Yeah,
how much to say it better. Yeah, I just, you know, and that's like I mentioned, like we all mentioned earlier, would like to have seen more guys get more bats earlier in the year. But I think it's just the fundamentals. We want to see better fundamentals. We shouldn't lead the league in errors, no matter how much your
no,
NIL budget
no,
is.
good Lord, no.
So figure that part out, and just you know, uh, the hitting and the stuff like that. That's kind of, it's hard to hit a baseball. But we
Yeah,
would like to see us put together better at bats in some of these games. It's like a lot of times on a Friday night, we'll look pretty good. We'll knock a
mm,
starter out in the third inning, and then that game two or that game three guy will pitch 7 innings of one hit ball like
right.
Coons did. And we couldn't hit him last year, but it kind of makes me think to that Kentucky series. Their game three guy took a no hitter into the seventh inning, and he
Seven. Yes.
wasn't all that good. So yeah, you just kind of want to see us have better, obviously defensive play and fundamentals, just better fundamentals all around is what
Yeah.
we'd like to
Yeah.
see.
I
But that
think.
can get turned
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. I think what's disappointing is how many, I'll call it, non-competitive at bats we have
Mhm.
in seemingly clutch situations, and it feels like it feels like this team is easily scouted. Its weaknesses are out there on, like I said, I mean, our weaknesses are on display. We see it. I mean, and we watch it with a pretty critical eye. And we sound pretty negative here, but I mean, again, I go back to you're 6 in the RPI, you're 10 and 11 in conference. If you go on a 6-3 heater here to end the season, we're hosting a regional. But it just feels like some of these guys are easily scouted. SEC pitching is the best in the country. You're gonna see you're gonna see a lot of premium arms every single weekend. You got guys throwing multiple pitches, but it doesn't feel like our hitters have the book on the pitcher quite the way the pitchers have the book on the hitters, right? And it's always advantage pitcher because if it wasn't advantage pitcher, your good batting average wouldn't be 300, it would be 700, right? So it feels like the approach is probably the thing that bothers me the most. I don't know that we're a aggressive fastball hitting team, right? It feels like we take a lot of fastballs and swing at a lot of bad breaking balls, but that's I don't have the scientific data to necessarily prove that. It just feels like a thing. All right, good discussion of that, because I do think it needs to be, as we get into the stretch, attitude might be totally different as we get down the stretch here. If we make a little run, finally, let's wrap it up. Where do you think? What do you think happens this weekend? We'll start with you, Megan.
2 and 3,
2 of 3. All right.
realistically.
Okay.
No.
Yep. Drew, feel the same way.
Yeah, I'll go 2 wins for right now.
Go to Roger.
2. Yeah.
2. All right. I think we all feel the same way. I feel like we get a series win. I mean, again, I think it's in us. I think what we've seen the last couple weeks in patches is just I think you get a little more minimum at home. I think it feels like the team will come out a little bit better at home. 2 or 3.
I was trying to figure between 2 and a sweep. So
yeah,
with the
with the
starting
which one
pitching,
you drop? Which one you drop?
I don't know.
There's going to be a game we don't score but 1 or 2 runs, and then I just don't know which game that'll
be.
Which
game we get shut down in.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully not against TBA.
Well, didn't TBA shut down Texas?
I think so.
So,
is that like Taylor Bowen, but Taylor Bowl Allen maybe?
Yeah, I think we struggle when we're seeing 6 different arms in a game. I think.
Yeah.
So I mean that could be, if that could be a thing. I mean, I think
Uh-huh.
Zane Adams has also been really good at home though, so keep that
Really
in
has,
mind.
yes.
So
Yeah.
he could very well hold them
Right.
scoreless through 6.
Right.
And Church has been the last 3 starts.
Mhm.
Last 3 starts have been really good.
Really,
Yeah.
really
Premium,
good. So
premium type arm.
So I
on,
feel, I feel good about that. It's just if we can keep them in the park or, make
Yeah.
them or throw strikes, and if they do hit bombs or solos.
Yeah, once again, a good hitting Vandy team this year, which is a big sea change from last year, I think. So, all right, so the weekend as it stands now, Thursday at 6, Friday at 6, Saturday at 1 p.m. Keep your eye on the weather. Like I said, I'm just looking at an app, so I don't know the details, but it looks like a rough weather day on Friday. So I have no idea if this gets bumped up earlier Friday or a doubleheader on Saturday. But again, it starts on Thursday, 6 and 1. Alabama, Vandy at the Joe. Superhero weekend, whatever the hell that means. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll be more interested in the baseball on the field.
All that means is that in 7th inning, a bunch of people, 2,000 people are going to get up and
go get a shirt. Yeah.
Go get a T-shirt or a cape or whatever the hell.
Don't do that. If you're listening to this, don't do that. Get the shirt after the damn game's over. They'll still have plenty over there. All right, folks, it was fun. Meghan Dennis, Roger Myers, Drew Champlin, I'm Paul Graham. We're the Weekly Show. Take it away, Peter Slight and Camp Land. Enjoyed bringing this to you as usual, and we will see you down the road.
Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Well, it's Bama Blitz.